Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy Thursday to you. And gosh, I am really looking forward to this conversation because honestly, it is so needed. Today, we are joined with the one and only and awesome Angela Stanford. Welcome, Angela. I'm delighted to have you here with me today.
Thanks, Leslie. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, really excited. So, guys, today we're going to talk about a really important topic, and that is self care for health professionals. 6 self care tips to enhance your client care, which is kind of an interesting twist, right? I love that. Okay, let's see. All righty. I'm just kind of playing with the tech here. Yeah, I don't know if we're going live everywhere, but oh well. All right, let's keep going, right? I'm getting a little notification. It looks like the broadcast was, yeah, let's see. All right, you know what? Hopefully my team can take a peek and make sure that we are I think we're actually broadcasting in a few places. So guys, I'm using StreamYard, as you can see by the big giant banner above my head. And we are hopefully live streaming into multiple places, including LinkedIn, YouTube, gosh, I think about 5 places on Facebook. So hopefully that is happening. We are going to go with it because I think it's working at least in a few spots. So, all right, guys. So let's go ahead and jump in. Again, this is such an important topic. Self-care for health professionals. Obviously, we're so accustomed to focusing on the health of our clients that we rarely think about the health and just that self-care process for the professional. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So let me give you a few bullet points on the things that we're going to cover. All right. So you're going to learn how to make time for self-care, how self-care enhances your client care, and the hidden benefits of self-care, why self-care is really a necessity versus a luxury, and of course, much more. And again, really happy to have Angela here with me. And Angela, I am going to ask you to, can you give us a little bit of your background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an integrative nutritionist, registered dietitian, and I was looking up for our actual conversation today, and I did the math wrong. I've actually been a dietitian for 29 years. I thought it was only 27. Yeah, so in that integrative world, along with health coaching and certified as a yoga teacher. So I've got a lot of different studies along my career that I put together along with work experience, everything from computerizing food service way back in the 90s, shall we say, when we were doing that, working as director of marketing for food companies, all the way into private practice for the last 13 years. And that's where my wheelhouse is. So I really love working with people one-on-one and in small groups, helping them to make the behavior change that goes alongside the science that's around what helps us feel vital and well. Very vital and well.
So good. Such a great topic. I love it. Okay, so you're in California, right? And
Yes.
I know you're like going through the process of moving, and so where in California are you now?
So physically located now on the Central Coast in a Tuscadero, which is south of Paso Robles, close to Morro Bay. So on the Central Coast. However, I have a virtual practice, so that has remained unchanged for all of my clients because, as you know, you can work and help with clients everywhere through this wonderful medium that we have, video. So yeah, so it's been wonderful. We're really enjoying it down here. People are friendly, great food, just like there is in the Bay Area where we came from.
Oh, so good. It's probably a little less crazy where you are, right?
A little slower pace, and we're enjoying that, and a lot more a lot more nature, very much closer.
All right. I love it. All right. So for those of you that are just joining us, welcome. Again, we're going to talk about a really, really important topic, and that is your self-care as a health professional. So let's go ahead and jump in. So really the first question I have for you then, Angela, is what drew you to this topic, right? So what was it that just really made you curious and want to embark on talking about health for the professional versus
Mhm.
what you typically do, which is really focused on the health of your clients.
Right. Well, Leslie, as I've been, working with my clients on this very important topic of self-care, um, it's, you do that day in and day out, and you realize that the challenge isn't so much about educating them on what to do, right? There is that what to do, but it's that whole how do we get it done?
Right.
And as I'm doing that with clients all day long, it's also very important that I know I mean, I do have clients that are also other health professionals, and I'm one myself, right? So we all struggle with this issue. We're too busy, we're taking care of others, and we have those clients that are our sort of paying clients, and we have these other clients called family members as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, we have both
Oh
sets.
yeah.
And so it's really important for us to stay, vibrant, healthy, strong, so that we can then serve them well also. So that it just drew me to that need, and also it just touches me personally, right? Because I struggle with that. I go through waves of having difficulty to be able to prioritize my own self care with the move we just had,
Oh my God.
being and like yourself, I'm a business owner, a clinician, a caregiver, wife, cook, and someone who is going through rising to the need of a growing virtual practice, right? So we have to really to be on our game and be well so that we can do it well and deliver the care that we want. We have to take care of ourselves, and we have to find a way to do that, especially if we're struggling with it.
Right, right. And I know, especially, I'll speak for myself and I think you too, right? With
Mhm.
kids, some of the challenges that some of our children are experiencing, and not to mention our aging parents,
Yes.
right? I think that can make things super challenging in order because there's just a lot to juggle in addition to running our own businesses, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we're definitely in that sandwiched generation, is what they call us, right? Because we're taking care of the youngers and the olders. So,
Yep, yep. I'm starting to really, experience that in my own life as well, as my parents get older. So, all right. So, let's dive into those 6 tips to enhance your self care, right? And
mhm.
again, everyone that's just joining us, we're specifically focused on your self care, right? Which I think is such a fun and unique topic. So, yeah. So, would you like to go ahead and share those six tips?
Sure. I'll list them first, and then we'll dive into each one of
Okay.
them a little bit more. So, first of all, very similar to what we work with our client. Many of us work with our clients. Not all health professionals are and doing this, but first step is creating a vision of what you want it to look like.
Uh-huh.
What does wellness look like for you?
Okay.
What does being able to take care of that? Then the second one is making a weekly plan, having a plan. It's always good to have a plan rather than flying by the seat of your pants, because it more often than not then gets executed. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about time blocking your day. That can be a whole conversation in itself, but it's a very helpful tip that can help you find um, where you might not be as efficient as possible. Maybe that's something that I can tell, and allow you to free up time to do the other care that you want for yourself and your clients. We're going to talk about how then leveraging routines, getting help if you need it, and partnering up for accountability. So those are the 6 tips.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Those are good. Okay. So, all right, creating a vision, making a plan. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Time blocking, getting help, routine. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Partnering up. All right. So let's how do you put these tips into practice? Or like is there
Yeah.
should we dig in a little bit more into
Yeah, so let me dig into each one of them. Yeah, I
Okay.
just want to list them first. So let's start off with that vision, okay? Some of us trained in the method of, a coaching method rather
Right.
than just a clinician method. Leslie and I are both in
Yes.
that school, and
So
we
our
actually went through
vision
this. Is
is
like huge.
huge. Like it's your North Star. The
Right.
thing that's really interesting though is clinicians that don't come from a coaching background,
Mhm.
the word vision is kind of nebulous, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, what is that?
Yeah, and so let me reword it. Picture what you want.
There you go.
So a vision for those of you that are in that realm, other clinicians, just picture what you want. What do you want your well life, the next best part, of yourself to look like, feel like, what kind of things are happening in your day, that picture that. And you picture it. And then that's the first step towards making it a reality, is having a clear picture of what you actually want.
I love
And
that.
sometimes it comes like crystal clear, boom, and you know it. And sometimes you kind of picture it and then maybe write it down, sleep on it, meditate on it, come back and look at it again and say, yeah, I know I'm going to enhance that a little bit. It can be evolving. And
So
so
it's
having
different
this,
than goals.
it's very different than goals. It's kind
Yeah.
of, I tell my clients, it's more like taking yourself up to the 30,000-foot level. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want? What do you want it to look like? What do you want life to feel like? This might be in the next 3 months. It might be in the next year. It might be just overall. But what is that vision, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so from that, then you break it down into a sort of period of time and then into goals. But having that big picture vision of what does wellness look like for you, and what does taking good care of yourself, like
Mm.
for me, it's really important for me to get cave time. I'm the opposite person in my family. I'm the one that needs more cave time. It's
Okay.
super super important for me to have that, and quiet time, uninterrupted time. And in nature. So I know what my self-care needs to look like for me. And now that post-pandemic, I've always had a lot of time on screens, but more time on screens is also for me knowing that I need time away from them, so that when I come back on, I can connect with my clients better. So those that are virtual practitioners will, or you doing that could maybe learn from that as well. Getting away, coming back. It's a whole new area called digital wellness that's coming out as well.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. So it's
So
it's
that
it's screen time
mhm.
and managing that effectively.
Yes, yes. So that vision. So having that, whatever that is, and picture for yourself, right? And then from that, the next step is to share it with someone. Share it with someone you trust. So
Okay.
if you have that vision, and then kind of to solidify it, it can be sharing it by writing it down and putting it where, or sharing snippets with someone who really has your heart and mind. So it kind of seals the deal. You kind of put it out there and you're like,
Yep.
okay, now I've got that and I can run with it. So that's step number one, is having a vision of what it is that you want and what sort of parts of that self-care you need. For some people, it's physical activity. I got to move every day. I want to move every day. You
Yep.
know, I want to eat well, whatever it is. I want to meditate every day. So then the second tip is about having a plan. How are we going to get there, right? And so we want to have this plan, and the first thing we have to do is find time to actually make the plan, right? A lot
Right.
of us think we want to have a plan. So it's carving out. You need like 10, maybe 10 minutes a week once you get the system going. 10 minutes a week so that you can plan out your week.
Right.
I'm pretty confident Leslie does this as well, um, as I do. You kind of have to look at the week, see how it's going to go, so that you can know where and confident you're going to get your self-care in, whatever that is: exercise, meal
Oh
planning,
yeah.
meditation, going to bed early. Um, So having a weekly plan is actually very key. And this is where, when we do develop that plan, that we can get into what those specific goals are, what we call in the coaching world SMART goals, the very specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and within a time frame. So they're very, very concrete, and they're very solidified. Okay, so having the vision, and then you got to have a plan. A lot of us just think it's going to happen during week. There's a difference between, yes, I'm going to exercise 3 times this week, or knowing I'm going to exercise on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before breakfast. And what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be, walking, or a lot of people hop on their Peloton now, or whatever it is. It's very specific. And just like your vision, you can picture it in your head. You know exactly what that looks like.
You don't have to think about it.
You don't have to think about it.
Like ponder, you're right, because you already have the plan.
Yeah, the plan's already there. Okay. So then so important to have a plan. And then the third part is something I want to spend a little more time on, because I find that we as clinicians, just like my clients, struggle with, we kind of know what we want to do. We've got a plan, we've got ideas, but we struggle with, how am I going to do it? Where am I going to find time to do that in my day, in my week? How is that going to happen? And so there's this exercise called time blocking, but it's finding out, you got to go find your time. It's not just going to miraculously disappear. Because for many of you who've tried this, you try week after week after week. Like, I set that goal and it didn't happen again. And then I set that goal and it didn't happen again. You have to actively find the time to do it and carve it out. And so this was so fascinating when I did it for myself. I did it, it was a couple of years ago. I did it for myself. And literally, you just track everything that you do all day long, what it is you do. And you do it for a week. You commit to doing it for a week. It was very eye-opening to me when I did it after 3 days, because you note patterns like how much time you're actually spending on your work, how much time are you actually spending on TV or social media, or in many cooking, driving kids around. There's just a lot of things that can be interplayed in there. And then you can also look at how maybe inefficient that looks. Sometimes we can then look what our day looks like and go, oh, I could switch that around. And there's just patterns you're going to note.
That's so cool. So you actually did this for a week?
Yes, I did it for a week.
That would be hard. I'm just going to say, I'm trying to picture myself doing that. And you'd have to be pretty honest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself when you do it. And one of the things that comes out of it is then you can create the next step is creating a matrix of what you want your ideal week to look like, right? You want it to look like. And so from that, and you can go you can learn more about it. There's courses on it. There's probably YouTube videos out there, but learning how to carve out time. For example, if you want sort of a power hour in the morning where you eat well, you do your exercise, you do your meditation, whatever, take a shower. I have clients who are trying to do that, get out of bed, hit the exercise, do the shower, like getting sort of a power hour in the morning. Other people are finding, and this was me as well, along with many others, we're continually checking email throughout the day.
Oh my God.
So we're actually continuing to check email throughout the day, rather than having time blocks where you're only checking it in the morning, maybe in the evening, or whatever it is, so that time is then freed up so that you can have more concentrated creative time to do things you want to do with your clients, your work, your programs, or your self-care. Now you've just found time to go for that walk, to medicate, to meal plan, whatever it is that you're doing for your self-care.
Yeah, I love that. Seriously, those of you that are watching, if you rein in the email and time block that, just doing that one thing is a game changer.
Huge. It was huge for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you actually do that now, right?
I do it. I have a matrix that is one that it's all color coded too. So I have time that I'm working on for my morning routine, having a
Mhm.
morning routine to kind of get yourself going for the day, the time that I work on my business, and then how I block off client time so that you have blocks. So
Yeah.
I see clients in blocks. I do business work on my business in blocks. And then it allows me to look through the week, and I have set sort of times that I exercise so I can fit it in. So I know when that's going to happen.
That's so good.
Uh, so with that though, I also want, you can create this matrix, you can post it. But the other important part is when you've carved out that time, and I tell this to my clients, and some of those again are health professionals as well, because we need to call on our own crew, our own people when we need help as well, is to hold those self-care appointments as important as your client appointments, as
Yeah.
important as your doctor dentist appointments. We
Yes.
always tend to take those and shove those, they get crossed off first or moved around first. But
Yeah.
getting into the practice of holding them at high regard will give you a much better chance of actually hitting them, right? You'll get them in more and more often if you hold them in high regard and they're blocked off every week. And
Yeah.
it's a lot easier if it's on your calendar to, if something comes up and there's a big event like right now, if I was supposed to be exercising, I would just move it to a time of the day because I already
Right.
know it's on there and it's important. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that for me personally is a non-negotiable,
yeah.
right? Like there's certain
Hmm.
things that I will just say just because I know, I mean, I feel kind of miserable if I don't do it. Like
Hmm.
it just really gets under my skin. So it's a non-negotiable for me. And
Yeah.
it always has
Ex-
been.
yeah. Agreed. And that's one of the things that I think many of us as health professionals struggle with because we're giving, we haven't gotten to that point where we've made it a non-negotiable. And so this can help you find the time to
Yeah.
get to that space. So you're going to feel like this is everything important to me because this is how I take care of me and I'm better equipped, feel better to be able to care for my clients.
Right.
Right?
I can
Hmm.
absolutely see that. Actually, we have a couple of questions that came in.
Great.
Um, do you use a matrix on the weekends?
Very good question. So there is not a full matrix, meaning there's only a couple of slots like meal planning,
Okay,
date night,
good for you. That's awesome.
and meal planning, date night, and then some. There is a block that changes all the time. It's called hiking with husband because he travels a lot. So yeah, do use it on the weekends, but it's much less, many less slots. So we say there's more room from a little more um, room. There's just more room for other things that might pop up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great. Yeah, I do it, of course, for the workout. I
Hmm.
do much better with the meal planning. Full admission there. So this is kind of getting me motivated to do a little better with that. All right, Amanda. Hey, Amanda, how are you? Good reminder. I'm guilty of putting off my own self care. Yeah, I'm glad that this is helpful. Yeah, like you got to take care of yourself. It's kind of like that analogy of the oxygen mask, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to put your own oxygen mask before you can help others. So I think it's really, really important. Okay,
Okay.
great. All right, so we've created the vision, we've made the weekly plan, and we've time blocked your day, right?
Yeah. Time
So
block the day. So
mhm,
now it has all these self care appointments in it for you, whatever it is, your exercise, your meditation, your meal planning, or getting to bed earlier, marking off that I'm going to go to bed 15, a half an hour earlier. How you
right.
do that, putting in the bedtime routine.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of leads into the next point, or the next tip is about leveraging routines,
Yeah, tell us
right?
about that. That's such a good one.
So, yeah, so with um, we know, many of us know, maybe some of us don't. I'm not going to generalize as all of our health professionals. There's a lot of nutritionists in your crew. There's a lot of other health
Mhm,
professionals here as viewers, but
mhm.
um, routines and developing a routine, it helps habits sort of stick
Yeah,
because it's familiar, it's happening at the same time. So having an exercise routine that happens at a similar time of the day every day, right? Like some people, it's first time they get out of bed. They get out of bed and they do their exercise in the morning, helps them get it done. Otherwise, the day gets away from them. Sometimes people, like I said, I carve out meal planning on the weekend. There's an hour that I carve out and do every week. Some people might meditate at a specific time of the day, you know, so that it's developing those routines. Similarly, having a morning routine, something that you know is going to help you feel great at your start of the day.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people's routines got shuffled around when we started the pandemic, right? When that was like, oh my gosh, how are these routines are so off? And, you know, maybe they all of a sudden, you know, had to rework that. So having I get up, I shower, I exercise, or whatever it is, I have my mug of tea before I see anyone, you know, having that very special connected time with yourself. And then similarly, at the end of the day, I work a lot with people on developing a bedtime routine so that
Oh,
they can ease themselves into sleep so that they get better sleep, because we all know when you get better sleep, your day goes better the next day. You know, the next day
yes,
is much better. Mhm.
for
So
sure.
routines.
Okay, I love that. I think routines are critical. Not always the easiest to do, I will say that,
Mhm.
but really important because it just kind of takes the decision making and guesswork out of this whole process,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
what would you say, like how, I guess I understand how routines are so critical, but I guess what I'm wondering is how do we get there? Right? Like how yeah, how do we get to the point where it's just kind of automatic and part of our routine?
Mhm. It's just about trying it the first time. So in
Okay.
other words, that's when we get back to those little, we call them SMART goals, but they actually can just be a little experiment. Like
Okay.
for people who are trying to start, um, let's just say that bedtime routines, go back to that, because a lot of my clients are struggling with sleep currently.
Okay.
And so if you're trying to develop this bedtime routine and you're like, "Ah, you know, I don't know where to start." Well, what's going on right now? What is it that you think is getting in the way? It's just one step. Well, um, I'm not getting myself upstairs, you know, early enough to get my routine started to get to bed on time. Like, you know, I'm just not getting up there. I'm playing around on social media,
Right.
or you know, I'm doing other things. And so it could be as simple as setting yourself a little reminder on your phone all the time, like,
Okay.
"Ooh, time to go upstairs." You know, you
Yeah.
set it at 8:30 or 9 o'clock or whatever it is, and you just set that. So it helps prompt you, oh, yes, because you've written it down on the calendar on your matrix, you know, time for bedtime, time to do that. But you sometimes we need multiple, you know, ways to get us
Yeah.
into this new routine. So setting that little timer, that little reminder, oh yeah, it's time to
Mhm.
get up. And that's going to go off a few days until it develops into something that is more regular. It's going to start with just taking that first step, that first
Okay.
trial.
I like
Mhm.
that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, just instead of like when I think of routine, it's kind of like really big, you know?
Mhm.
I like how you explained that this can just be like a little experiment,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little
And
experiment.
that's a great way to look at it, right? So, yeah, and just like setting an alarm, like, okay, you know, my intention is to get upstairs and start the bedtime
Mhm.
routine at a certain time. And that just identifying like what's the bottleneck here? What is getting in my way?
Right.
Right? Um,
Mhm.
and then trying to find a solution to solve that. That's super, super helpful. I love it. Okay, so then what's next?
So after we've leveraged our routines, the next, you know, we've got this plan, practicing, we're doing these little experiments,
Mhm.
is sometimes recognizing when we have bumps in the road, like, why isn't it happening? Maybe I don't have the time that I need, and this is really important to me. I want to make it a non-negotiable. I want to get to the point where exercise is, that's in my vision, that I want to get to the point where I'm exercising regularly every day. That's something I do for myself every day. Well, finding time to to get to these things sometimes gets bogged down in other areas. So finding time to get help with, maybe you need help with it's childcare. Maybe you need
Oh,
help with cleaning care and cleaning in your house. There could be something else. Maybe it's driving kids around. I mean, that's a lot of. I had to do that when my kids were in middle school, and I was, starting off with my practice. I'm like, I'm driving around everywhere. I can't really get things done. So then we figured out carpools. It's just getting creative on how to find this time for yourself. And it might not be that it doesn't always have to be paid help. You can
right.
get help, you can get help from friends, neighbors, people in your own family. If you have older children, they can learn how to unload the dishwasher. They can, there's other things that they can do as well to help you out, to carve out time. But there are some times when we might want to learn new skills. So we
Right.
might have to, enlist help. Maybe our vision is, I really want to learn yoga or rock climbing or whatever it is, and we don't know how, or I want to walk into a gym and not feel intimidated. Like you walk into all those. I hear that from my clients all the time. I just walk in and I want to walk back out because I
Ah,
just don't. There's so many, tools and machines and all this stuff. So get some expertise, get some
okay.
help so you can feel that confidence, some skill, some knowledge, some confidence, so that you can then feel good about embarking on this new routine and you've got the time to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So
And
really, that's key.
sometimes that could even be, as much as we are, many of us are in your group are nutritionists
Mhm.
or dietitians, obviously. And I wanted to share too that it's okay that we don't have to cook everything from scratch. Maybe there's some freeing up time with meal delivery or being, quicker on those ends too, so that you can find the time to carve out to do, the exercise or the other things that you're wanting to do.
Oh, such a
There's
good
just a lot of ways to work
yeah,
this.
like, we're
So,
not looking for perfection here,
right.
right?
We're
Okay.
looking to, yeah, it's what fits for you. hmm
Okay. That makes so much sense. And really finding help can look like a lot of different things.
Yes. hmm
It
Yeah. And
could
it might just be right in your own household
right.
sometimes
There you
too.
go. Yeah, instead
Yeah.
of doing everything all the time, yeah,
hmm
it could be, looking to other family members to step up, right? And instead of you doing everything. And then I think I love that example you just gave with nutritionists and dietitians, right? So I personally don't have that problem. Just saying, like, I wish I had a little bit more of that problem of, like the need to cook everything from scratch. But I could understand very much how that could really get in the way, right? Like,
hmm
like this, it's kind of like a perfectionistic,
Yeah.
right? Like if
hmm
I'm a
hmm
nutritionist, then I should be doing all of this, from scratch. And
Right.
and that really necessarily is not the case.
Exactly. There's a lot of other support out there that allow us to do what I call a blend of, scratch and convenience, but in a healthy way.
Right.
It fits the
Exactly.
multiple dynamics. Some of us have a lot of dynamics going on in our family with their eating patterns and such. So this can
Exactly.
that help relieve some of that, so that you can get onto your self care, and then frees up time for you to then focus on your clients as well.
So
This last
yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say, go ahead.
Yeah. So our last tip here is about partnering up for accountability. And
Yeah.
I am coming full circle back to the coaching side of me as well to help talking to people about buddy up with someone. When you're embarking on a journey of self-care, trying to bring in new routines, we're no different than anyone else trying to do it. And sometimes we need someone to help keep us accountable.
Yeah.
And so buddying up with a friend, colleague, a coworker, and I hesitate to say spouse because more often than not, they'll let you off the hook.
Ah,
So that's why I say someone else. That's just been my experience
okay.
with my clients. So a lot of spouses are very supportive, but at the same time, they can also sort of like, oh no, let's go do this, or
Yeah.
just tonight. So having someone outside of that, as well as your very supportive spouse, can be very helpful. And sometimes you might have to pay for that support
Yeah.
as well. And that holds true. I share this story um, with I exercised all my life. I've been an athlete. I move every day. But as I have come on in years, I have learned that strength is not. I love to be strong, but my strength built. I don't like strength training. I
Okay.
don't like to do it. I mean, I love to do it, but I don't. I love the results. I just don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Over the years, I don't know if you ever did this in your career, but you do trades. We do
Mm,
trades back and forth. Like I would give nutrition advice, someone else would train me. I would do this, someone else
yeah.
would give me a massage. Da 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 da. Back and forth trades. Well, the problem is everyone else was getting all the nutrition advice, but I wasn't taking them up on the training or this or that or that.
Oh,
So it wasn't until I paid the trainer. So I know what I'm supposed to do,
yeah.
right? I know what I'm supposed to do. I know, but I had to pay someone to help me do it. And so sometimes
Yeah.
putting money down into something to help keep you accountable with your exercise. Maybe it's a meditation course. Maybe it's it has something to do with maybe your cooking skills aren't so awesome and you want them to be. Maybe you have to pay someone. There could be a whole host of things here. But
Yeah.
get some knowledge and get some accountability
I
as
get it.
well.
I mean, I do
Mhm.
that. I
Yeah.
So what I find is that I would say, especially in the winter when it's, here where I live, it gets really cold and nasty. It's pretty easy just to want to stay in a cocoon, right?
Right.
I would just
Right.
say that's really, it can be challenging. So what I have to do, and I know this about myself, I need to go to like a group class
Hmm.
that I paid in advance.
Exactly.
Like, if I
Yeah.
miss it, if I cancel last minute just because I don't feel like it, I lose it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what it takes for me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And it's the same. I also have the background of being a registered yoga teacher as well. I can practice in my home all I want. Do I do it as much? No. It's sometimes, I mean, during the pandemic it was a little different. You couldn't go to a studio, but it's still paying for the class or paying
Yeah.
for the live stream or paying for whatever. So it can help get me guided through it rather than the mental, I have to go and sort of do it on my own. It helps me make
Yeah,
it happen.
yeah, absolutely. I
Hmm.
got it. So I think that's a great point, and from a business perspective, I think it has some importance as well because your clients, in part, are paying you to help keep them accountable.
Right.
There is something to
Hmm.
be said for that as well.
Hmm. Absolutely. And then that's how we take these tips and then we put them into practice. How does that then help with our client care? You know, when we've kind of sort of touched on it, but as we're feeling good because we're taking care of ourselves, we feel better about ourselves. Then that carries over into our attitude on how we're caring for others, right? Because we're on with our clients a lot and we're
Yeah,
talking about oftentimes sensitive subjects because self-care and change in itself with lifestyle can be difficult and challenging, so we can be there for them as they go through that, and we're just much better equipped. At least that's what I found too. And it's just I'm better equipped when I take care of myself. um, so yeah.
yeah, so important. And then, what about, the making time for fun?
Right. Okay. So I have a bonus tip.
Okay,
So let's just review those six, and then I'll
okay,
talk about that bonus tip. So the six again, we started off with our vision,
yep,
and then we went into making a plan, doing some time blocking so that we can make sure that we've got it carved out and hold our self-care appointments as important as a doctor or dentist appointment. They're non-negotiables, as you said. I love that. And then from there routines, and then get help when we need it, and partnering up for accountability. So when we do that, that's a lot of structure that's within our week and within our lives. And we as health professionals oftentimes rise to that challenge of having the structure and putting things into place because we like to see it happen and benefit others. But the bonus part about self-care for us too is carving out time for fun. Just fun. We're busy doing all these things, and sometimes like, well, I exercise. Well, exercise is great. I find it fun, but is it actual fun?
Uh-huh.
And I say fun because on my matrix, I have it color coded a different color. Like it's pure out fun. It could be as simple as every day that you get to have a cup of your favorite tea, undisturbed, outside in your backyard, listening to nature. It could be that simple. Or it could be something where you go like, for example, my fun has always been Friday fun. I see no clients who do no work on Friday mornings. For the last, until I moved, since 2014, it was walk-in coffee or walk-in tea. And that was carved out every week for a girlfriend and I to walk for an hour and catch up and have a coffee afterward. Coffee, I mean, I had tea, but coffee. But it was something that was carved out for yourself every week, and have an expectation for that fun. For others, it might be, that they have a favorite. It might be this favorite TV series that they want to watch. It might be getting into a bathtub with candles and the door locks so no children can get in, like you have silence for just a small period of time. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is for you, put it on that matrix, put it on that calendar. So you have it carved out, and it just doesn't keep getting slipped away, that you make time for it.
I love that. Yeah, like, and I have to admit, I don't always do this, but all these are good reminders. Like I like to try to read a fiction book for 15 minutes a day.
There you go.
Something that is just, enjoyable. So I love that. Such a good reminder. Okay, great. So I think adding fun is critical for sure. So anything else that you want to add?
I guess the only other thing is just, I would like your viewers to walk away with, we talked about a lot of different things, and they touch people in different ways. Is just, it can be as easy as just starting by carving out 5 or 10 minutes in a day, undisturbed, so you can allow your brain to sort of quiet down and shift gears, because we're in action doing mode most of the day.
Right.
And so if you can just carve out 5 or 10 minutes to sort of shift those gears and start working on the vision. Once you have that vision, from there, the rest of the pieces will fall into place. But it starts with having, that clear picture, like, where am I going? Where is it that I want? What is it I want to see, do, feel like?
Oh, so good. So good. So what is the one thing you want our viewers to really walk away with?
Yeah, I think, Leslie, it's what I was just, I'll reiterate what I was saying, was that, that they can, just walk away with starting with that one first step.
Okay.
Yeah, that 5 to 10 minutes of allowing that brain to shift. Give yourself that gift of finding the time to shift gears and build that picture, create that picture for yourself.
And a question for you, Angela, do you work with healthcare practitioners in putting this into motion?
I do actually. And it's not that I have a formal program for that, but it's just, I know a lot of healthcare practitioners, I've been doing this for a while, like you, we've been doing this for a while. And so they come to me, and so, and so with that, I wanted to also share that, any of your viewers today who want to work with me, I will extend them my friends and family discount to all of my packages and programs.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. So I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you. Okay. All right, so I'm going to copy let's see here. I'm going to copy your email address. So it's Angela@vitalandwell.com, right?
Yep.
All
Angela at vitalandwell.com.
right, awesome.
And yeah, and they can email me directly, or if they end up at my website, which is also vitalandwell.com, they can
Okay,
always book a call so that we can have a chat and see if they think we're a good fit.
okay, great. So let me put that here so everyone can access. That would be great. Highly recommend, guys. Highly, highly. Okay, great. All right, so we've got that squared away. We've got your email in the comments. So if anyone wants to reach out and just book a call, it
Yeah,
can't,
just book
it
a
can't
call. We'll have a
be
conversation.
more. Exactly. And then in terms of just kind of staying in touch with you, it looks like your Instagram is Vital and Well.
Mhm.
It looks like that's your handle for, okay, that's your handle for
Everything.
Instagram. And then your website is vitalandwell.com.
Correct. Yeah. All the socials are Vital and Well. And yeah, my website is vitalandwell.com.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, awesome. All right. So, gosh, I got to tell you, I am re-inspired to honestly to do some time blocking myself. Looks like we have
Mm.
a question here. Actually, let's start with the comment. And that is from Amanda. I'll have to be more forgiving with myself when I'm trying to develop a routine rather than just giving up altogether.
Right.
Really, really good point. Do you have any comments about
Mm.
that?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it takes a lot of tries to get where you need to go sometimes, and that's the
Mhm.
part where being forgiving can be the first step. Just let that go. Yep, that didn't work out. All right, what am
Right,
I going to do? What is that one little step that I'm going to do to help me get that routine going starting tomorrow? Like, what can I do?
right.
Mhm.
I love that. And then Amanda also asks, is there a format for time blocking that works better than others?
Oh, I would say that that's very individual to the
Okay.
person. Just like many things with our care and lifestyle,
Mhm.
I've seen people work with calendars, phone, paper,
Yeah,
Excel spreadsheets, whatever it is. It can start on paper, but whatever sort of
yeah,
speaks to you, I would just start. Don't worry about it too much. Just start with one of the formats. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And Amanda, if you remember in the academy, we did do an exercise in the first skill building class on time blocking, right? And in that case, we use an Excel spreadsheet. So, yeah, and you can color code it. I think the key is that we're not looking for perfection, right? We're never ever, because things are just not going to be perfect.
Mhm.
So you just do your best. And maybe you start by focusing on a certain part of your life that you want to make sure that you're integrating and making time for, right? Instead of, just trying to change everything overnight. That can be really challenging for you as well as, of course, for your clients. So,
Mhm.
but I really like the idea of time blocking. Um, One thing that we didn't really touch on, another advantage is that it really does help you to be more productive because you're
Mhm.
not constantly like switching back and forth to different tasks, right?
Mhm.
You're more focused on a specific thing rather than, checking email, going, bouncing all around. So you're going to be just more effective, more focused, and frankly, things are just going to take less time. And they have done
Exactly.
research that really
Mhm.
proves this, right? When you're bouncing all over the place, it does take time to settle back into the task.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I think that is, so just I would just say just just work with what you have and not worry so much about, what the apparatus is that you're gonna use.
Exactly. When I did my first one, I did it with pen and paper or pencil and paper so I could keep, making it evolve and erase and move around. And then eventually when it got to where it needed to go, then I put it up on the spreadsheet like Leslie was saying, and then color
Yep.
coded it. It evolved.
Yeah, it really does. It does.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the idea is that you just, you wake up, it's like, okay, today's Thursday. I know what my Thursdays look like, right? And I think the time blocking really does help you to create those routines. It is
Exactly.
a really good step towards creating those routines, and it just kind of takes the guesswork out. So I think it's really super, super helpful. And again, I want to put Angela's contact information here, and Angela at vitalandwell.com. If you want to look her up on her website, it's vitalandwell.com. Check her out. And I love, Angela, I love your background. I really appreciate that you have, especially just, amazing clinical experience, but also that coaching experience, right? And which really is just incredibly effective at helping people to achieve their goals. So, guys, if that is you, if you are, and no shame in this at all, right? Like no shame in raising your hand and saying, you know what? I could use some help. I could use some help and assistance with, achieving my vision, my wellness vision for myself. I would say get the help you need. At least reach out and set up an exploratory conversation with Angela and just kind of see how she can help. I would really encourage you to do that. So, all right, sounds good. Wow, time flies.
I know.
Time flies. Listen, thank you so very much, Angela, for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to those of you who have joined us today on the live call, as well as those of you that are going to catch the replay. Appreciate your time today. And thanks, Angela. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I know you're settling in after moving and everything like that. You got a lot going on. So let's definitely stay in touch. And everyone, take care. Have a good one. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Bye, everybody.